My name is Colleen, and this is my kitchen. I've struggled with my weight my entire life. After trying every diet in the book without any success, I came to the realization that diets don't work. I started my journey at a size 26W, weighing just over 300 pounds. In almost a year and a half, I've lost over 120 pounds, and I am a size 14. No W. What's my secret? Eating healthy and moving more. Now I'm here to show you how you can cook healthy food without compromising on taste and lose weight just like I have. Because if I can do it, you can too.
Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have a great slow cooker recipe for you. We're going to be making a really yummy Mediterranean turkey meatloaf that's full of all kinds of flavor that you would typically find in the Mediterranean, like sun-dried tomatoes, rosemary, oregano, feta cheese. It's going to be absolutely delicious. And then as we get closer to serving this up later in the day, we're going to be making some roasted red potatoes to go with it. And so let's go ahead and get started on mixing our turkey meatloaf. And it's going to start with 1 pound of extra lean ground turkey. It's 93% lean, which means that it's really low in fat. Now, the converse side of that is that when you are using a meat that's really low in fat, it sometimes will lose its moisture. Actually, most of the time, it will lose its moisture when it's cooking up. So I'm going to show you some tips for how to keep your meatloaf still moist and firm and delicious without tasting too dried up because you are missing some of that fat. So we're going to start with this meatloaf. We're going to go ahead and mix in 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And what that's going to do is it's going to, the tomato paste is going to add some complexity of flavor to the dish here. Next up, I also am going to use some sun-dried tomatoes. And I'm using half a cup of sun-dried tomatoes, and you want to make sure to get the ones that are not packed in oil. And these are already julienned. I just want to cut them a little bit smaller into kind of bite-sized chunks. So I'm just going to do kind of a rough chop on these. Just like that. Go ahead and put those in. And then I'm going to add 1 egg, and the egg is going to help bind that mixture together. And then I have a 1/4 cup of bulgur. You could also use rice or breadcrumbs in this. I like the bulgur because it really kind of disappears into the dish. And the purpose of adding this is it's going to help interact with that egg. It'll help bind the mixture together and keep your meatloaf really firm. Go ahead and add just a tiny pinch of coarse sea salt. Don't want to use too much because I am going to be adding some feta cheese, and that's really salty. And then I have some freshly ground black pepper. I always recommend the freshly ground pepper because that way you get those nice oils, not all dried out. Then I have 2 ounces of feta cheese here. I'm using a light feta cheese just to help cut down on that, on the fat portion of the dish. Don't use the fat-free feta cheese. It has a lot of chemicals in it, and it's not very tasty. The light feta cheese has very little fat, very little calorie difference from the fat-free variety, and much, much more flavor. Let's go ahead and add 2 cloves of garlic, and you know me, I love my garlic press. Just press that in there. I get all those nice juices and oils that are leaving along the cutting board. And it's so much easier than skinning them and mincing them. And then I have 2 rosemary sprigs. I've taken the needles off, and once this is chopped up, I'm going to have about 2 teaspoons of chopped fresh rosemary here. So I just take my knife and chop up those needles until they're nice and small. Next I have some oregano leaves. We're going to do the same thing with these. I'm going to chop these up. I've already stripped them off the stems just to save some video time here. And I'm going to chop these up. Once they're chopped up, I'll have about a tablespoon of fresh oregano. We're getting close to the end here, and so this is one of my secrets to adding moisture to the dish and keeping that turkey from getting too dry, and that is one baby zucchini. I'm going to shred it up. Zucchini has a lot of nutrients in it, but not a ton of flavor, so I find that it'll add a lot of moisture to the meat, keep it from drying out, while not overpowering the dish with flavor. And the bonus is you get some nutrients and vitamins from the zucchini, and it's also very, very common in Mediterranean and Greek cooking specifically. So we're going to go ahead and shred that up here. Now the last thing that we're going to add is red onion. And I have to tell you, I have experimented with this dish I've made it at least 4 times in prepping it for my video, and I really wanted to add a red onion, and I couldn't, it never turned out right until I decided to try shredding it. And then it was absolutely perfect. It really blended into the dish, and it kind of marries with the zucchini to really create some nice moisture and flavor to this dish. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to shred it up. I know that's a little unique, and I leave it for the last here because it always sends me into tears, and it takes a little time to shred it. So all I do is I'm going to leave this end on as a handle and go ahead just like that on my grater. It's very easy. Takes a little bit of time. So by shredding it, you can see I get this really kind of mass of juicy pulp here. So it's really going to combine well and kind of disappear into the meat. And it's just absolutely perfect. So I highly recommend that you do that instead of chopping it. Okay, so now that we have all of our ingredients in here, let's go ahead and give this a mix. Look at all those lovely colors of red, green, white. This is a very pretty dish once it's done. Once I have that mixed, what I want to do is go ahead and put it in my crock pot. I have sprayed my crock pot with a nonstick cooking spray. And so I'm going to put it in here and form it into a typical meatloaf shape. Once I have that formed, I'm going to cover it and put the crock pot on low, and it'll cook for 8 to 10 hours. I have had it heat for 10 hours before. Not a problem at all. So we will come back here and finish this up with some roasted red potatoes. Our Mediterranean meatloaf is just finishing up here, so now I'm going to get my side dish going. And my side dish tonight, I'm making some roasted red potatoes. So I have my oven preheating to 425 here, and I'm just going to take 1.25 pounds of red potatoes, and I'm going to cube them up into about 1/2 to 3/4 inch cubes here, and toss them in a mixing bowl so I can toss them together with some coating. Now I'm going to go ahead and drizzle 1 tablespoon of olive oil over those potatoes there. And let's go ahead and add just a pinch of coarse sea salt. And then I have some fresh oregano leaves, about a quarter cup once they're removed from the stem. I'm going to chop these up. I like to use the fresh oregano instead of the dried. It adds just a little bit more flavor to the dish. Once I chop this up, I'll have about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of oregano. So once I have that all together, I'm just going to toss it up. Make sure those potatoes get really well coated with those herbs and salt and oil. And then I'm going to lay it out on my baking sheet. And I want to make sure to lay it out in a single layer. And that way my potatoes will get nice and crisped up really well. Now I'm going to go ahead and bake these for 15 to 20 minutes until they're golden brown and have a light crisp on the outside. Everything is cooked up here, so the only thing left to do is go ahead and serve this up. Take a couple slices of meatloaf. And some of our roasted red potatoes. And I'm going to go sit down and enjoy my meal. I hope that you'll give this a try. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time in my kitchen.